Hello, everybody. It's Christy Whitman with the Quantum Success Show, where you can get your information and inspiration to create your desires. And as you can see, I have a friend. I love this man. He is amazing. I'll introduce Adam officially, and then I'll welcome him to the show. So, Adam Markel is the CEO of New Peaks, formerly Peak Potentials, which is the place that I met and fell in love with my husband, Frederick. He's the author of the book Pivot from Simon & Schuster, and it just came out in April 2016. He is an international training firm, or as an international training firm, New Peaks has delivered world-class educational programs to more than 1.5 million people in over 104 countries. Amazing! With over 100 plus events a year, New Peaks is one of the largest integrated business and personal transformation companies in North America. Awesome. So prior to his position as CEO, Adam was a senior trainer with Peaks and has personally trained more than 100,000 people in the United States, Southeast Asia, Canada, Europe, Australia. And this amazing man has shared the stage with superstars like Tony Robbins, Damon John from ABC's Shark Tank, I love him, our very own Lisa Nichols, Stedman Graham, Donald Trump. Don't boo him or don't celebrate. It is what it is. He's a recognized expert in the integration of business and personal transformation, and he has been interviewed and featured by the New York Post, the Wall Street Journal. I mean, it goes on, Fox News. So he is just amazing, and I'm super excited to have you here, Adam.
My goodness, Christy, that's some introduction. Thank you for having me. Yeah. Wow, that's a lot of stuff. No wonder I'm so tired.
Right? Isn't it funny when someone reads your bio, you're like, wow, I did some cool stuff here. That's awesome. So I'm excited because you have your book that came out, and it's called, and I love the title, The Art of the Pivot. So I love it. I love it. So yeah, so it's the art and science of reinventing your career and life. So in this context, I know what I mean by pivot. What do you mean by pivot?
Oh my goodness. I'm anxious to hear what you mean by pivot. But to me, a pivot is really a small changes in your mindset to begin with. So it could be that you wake up in the morning and you're lacking enthusiasm for what it is that you're going to do for the day. And I think that's a big challenge for many, many people, and where I help people to change their life in some meaningful way is to start with how you begin the day. So for me, I was 18 years as a lawyer. I consider myself sort of a recovering lawyer at the moment. But I used to start my day very much with sort of a feeling of dread, to be perfectly honest, just anxiety, anxiousness, and even a little agitation, because I was putting my feet on the floor to begin. Usually it was dark out. My wife was sleeping. I'm really blessed that I've been married to the most amazing woman for 27 years, and we know each other 30 years.
Wow.
We have 4 kids that are healthy, and so I had nothing but blessings to really be grateful for, to say to Spirit, God, the universe, thank you, thank you, thank you. And yet I was waking up and not saying thank you, thank you, thank you. I was waking up and putting my feet on the floor and being like, crap, this sucks. And getting in the shower and, just trying to get my energy up and, go drink a few cups of coffee and then drive to the office. And I did that, week after week, month after month, year after year, until I closed my eyes and woke up one day and I'm 10 years older and my hair is gone and I've been doing the same thing over and over, and I'm still just feel lack of fulfillment. I think that's a big thing for people is that, when you look at how you're feeling physically, it's often an indication, a really strong indication of what's going on the inside. The dis-ease that shows up in your body is a reflection of what's not in alignment or not working or not feeling good on the inside. And that was me for certain. And so I wanted to make some changes in my life, and that the book is a bit of a chronicling of what I did to go from a workaholic lawyer who was unhappy, made a lot of money, and quite a bit of success that way, but success without fulfillment felt like failure to me. So feeling like a failure is no no piece of cake.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people feel kind of that lack of real passion for what they do, and a lack of the sort of the feeling, not that life should be easy, but that you're on the right path. And because I didn't feel like I was on the right path, the fact that I was also working a very difficult, stressful job, just depleted me. So that's why I wrote the book.
Well, I thank you for writing the book, because I know there's a lot of people that feel that way, and I certainly felt that way when I was in corporate America. I was making great money, but it's like the minute I would have to walk out the door, it was like I felt the life force being sucked out of me. Whereas, I look at you now, and I would never guess that you were like that, because you are so full of life and so connected. And every time we have interactions, when we're in amazing, beautiful places, whether it's Costa Rica in the middle of the ocean when we've got a moonrise and a sunset going on, or we're in Napa getting to taste wine together. I mean, you just always have been so present and so joyful. So it's amazing to see the transformation that you've made just in yourself, and then helping. I love that it's like once we make that transformation within ourselves, we want to then bring it forth. They had Maslow's hierarchy of needs was like your own self-actualization, and they actually took it a step further that now you want to help others transcend. So there you are.
Yeah, the purpose of all this stuff that happens in our lives is that old expression that everything happens for a reason, right? I never was satisfied to hear that. In fact, it used to really irk me when somebody would say, everything happens for a reason. I'm like, well, what's the reason? There can't be a reason for this.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's everything happens for a reason. And then instead of it being a period, and that's the end of that statement, it's a comma. And that comma, after the comma is, and that reason is there to serve. And, to serve you, to serve your family, to serve the community at large, the world even. So yeah, it's funny you should mention self-actualization, because that is the vision that we've created for our company, is that we help people to actualize the highest version of themselves, because in that actualizing, even if it's that you can actualize the best part of yourself for 10 minutes or for an hour or for a day, in those, in that minute, that 10 minutes or that day or longer even, with practice and vigilance, but in that time, you have peace, you have serenity, you have joy. And that's what our world is aching for. It's craving more peace. And so even the things that are so disturbing to us that we see around us, I really believe are this. It's like a calling out. It's a reaching out for something more substantial. And so people are craving change because they want something more substantial. Absolutely.
Well, you say that most of us suffer from selective blindness but don't know it. What does this mean?
Well, I think this is what Henry David Thoreau described as everywhere people live lives of quiet desperation. It's quiet. You can go about doing the same thing like over and over and over again and just sort of ignore it until it becomes painful. And so for me, the reason why I needed to pivot in my thinking and then take small action steps to change my life was really out of pain. I was in pain. I was in emotional pain. I woke up and didn't feel good, but that was only the beginning of the day. I would easily be angered. I'd be anxious when I was commuting to my job at times. I had trouble sometimes falling asleep. I had times when I woke up in the middle of the night. I think there's the billion-dollar industry for sleep aids would indicate I'm not the only one.
You're not alone. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. For sure, you're not alone. I know there's a lot of people that are in a lot of pain because, and my definition of pivot is perfectly in alignment with yours. It's taking those small little, that they seem small but they're huge. When you can shift from a lack thought to an abundance thought, that's a pivot, and it makes a huge trajectory into what you create and manifest in your life, how you feel, how you even interact and respond with life just by pivoting off that thought. So it's like, just changing a thought that doesn't feel good or that's rooted in lack, when you can pivot to a thought that feels better because it's coming from an alignment with a space of abundance, then you're on the right track. So I love it. And that's why I was so excited to have you on the show.
Pivot, it can be is like you described, a reframe, just the reframing of your mindset, which is so powerful. And it can be in the form of actions. So, when I first started to look at the analogy I wanted to create for the book, and I wanted to write this book, at the beginning, the inspiration was the kids. I wanted them to have sort of a guide, if you will, to what my life was like in my late 30s when I was kind of hitting a wall. And I tell a story at the beginning of the book where I thought I was actually having a heart attack, and I ended up in the hospital with my wife thinking I was dying and I wasn't going to see the kids ever again. And, just sweating profusely and feeling like, I'm about to check out. And as it turned out, it was too much caffeine and too much stress and too much unhappiness, really, that just sort of piled on me in one Saturday morning while we were driving someplace. And I knew when I left the hospital that day and had been given this, what I felt like was a reprieve, a genuine second chance at doing things differently, I didn't know what I would do. I wasn't going to just go home and say, I'm quitting my job, I'm quitting my practice of law. We had, 4 kids, houses, cars, all kinds of things. So to me, what I did was I created a plan B. And that plan B started with a small change in my direction, which was really a change in my mindset, like you described, looking at things and seeing what Randy, my wife Randy, calls a creative opportunity. So we started to look at what's the creative opportunity in the situation that we're in. And then we changed the way we were looking at those things, the way you described, right? And then started all of a sudden to navigate a different course. And my plan B ended up becoming the thing that replaced my plan A. So at some point about 2.5 years later, I stopped practicing full-time, practicing law full-time, and wasn't even practicing part-time at that point, and went into this new business, this new space where I got to share not only my own life experience, but my true gifts as a teacher, somebody that loves people and wanted to make a difference in that way and in a very profitable way. And that's something everybody can do. We certainly start with the freedom to choose our thoughts, and it begins from there. So
absolutely. And once you choose those thoughts, that's what happens. It's like everything does pivot, and your perspective completely different. It shifts so that you can see other opportunities. Because I think what happens with most people is like in your situation or in the situation I was, I'm unhappy. I don't know what else to do. I'm stuck here. I've been doing this. This is all I know. I can't do anything else. I'm stuck because I'm making the money. I'm supporting my family. So I'm just going to be miserable and just suck it up. And, it's like a lot of people do that. And then they get immoral health, become more bitter, unhappy. And, even the small things, just noticing the contrast in your life of what's not working and being able to say that, there are so many, I'm just looking here, but there's all this over here. If I would just change my perspective and look for what the other, like you're saying, this is plan A, but what would plan B look like? And just giving yourself the opening that there could be a plan B, just the opportunity, the choices.
Yeah, and that's where you're not in selective blindness, right? You're not choosing to ignore the signs, the things that are showing up. That's why it's so important in this work, and it doesn't have to be just in the work of personal transformation, but usually in self-help or personal growth work. One of the first things people learn is that awareness is so important, that consciousness, that being aware of what's going on. And not that you have to be happy with it or whatever, but that you're not blind to it, that you're not unconscious, that you're awakening to your experience of being. How are you experiencing yourself in this moment, right? Is your heart open? Is your heart closed? Are you angry? Is there something else going on? And just being being present with who you are in that moment is a huge pivot for many people. And it certainly was for me.
Absolutely.
It is every day.
You're such an inspiration. I'm so glad I get to, because we're both in Transformational Leadership Council, so we get to be in TLC together and connect. And I love Randy. She's amazing, and I'm looking forward to spending some time with you soon. So I know you have a free gift for everybody, and I'd love for you to, just describe what it is. We're actually going to put a link under the video so everybody can take advantage of it.
Oh, way cool.
Yeah.
So when I was working on my pivot before, I wrote a book called Pivot. And I'd love people, obviously, if they're called to find pivot, they can do that as well. There's actually another person that came out with a book. It's funny enough with the same title.
Oh no!
So mine's the red one. There's the blue one. It's kind of funny. And this is the art science, reinventing your career and life. So anyway, I'd love it if they pick that up. But what I think would be kind of a cool thing is I wanted to give them something free, and so I wrote a book called The Wealth Formula. And it actually started out with the title The Energy Formula. But then we started to look at it holistically. And it wasn't just about energy, but it was about, because energy is everything, of course. But it was about the wealth of everything in your life. So how are your relationships? How is your finances? How's your business? How's your health, right? And that overall concept of wealth and well-being and that holistic approach to looking at what creates wellness is what the book is about. And I wrote it some years ago, and we cleaned it up and put it in a beautiful format. And it's a gift to all of you folks just for being in your community.
Well, thank you, Adam. That's really sweet. I appreciate that. I appreciate how, you're bringing value beyond even just this information, this, connection that we've had today. So thank you for that. So you can go right under the video, have a link there, and you can download it for free. And that's Adam's gift to all of you. So Adam, you're awesome. I appreciate that you woke up and that you did something about it, because the change that you're making in the world is huge. So thank you. And I'm grateful you're my friend.
Beautiful, Christy. You're beautiful inside and out. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much. So everybody leave us a comment. Let me know what you're taking away from this talk that Adam and I were talking about on pivot, and how are you going to take some small little pivots in your life today. Leave us a comment, let us know, and have a really blessed, amazing week. Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching, and here is a related video to watch right now. Also, check out my free webinars on creating whatever you want in your life using the universal laws that I explain in each webinar. So share your thoughts by leaving a comment and continue the conversation at christywhitman.com.